Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Cyclops FPV, and this is going to be my quick overview of the EACHINE Novice 3. First off, we'll talk about the goggles, which is a non version of this one. It hasn't got a DVR player on it, and it's not diversity. It's other than that, it's exactly the same. I'm using the divider here to extend the view as I'm long-sighted, but apart from that, it's exactly the same goggles. The DVR part doesn't matter because you've got a DVR player on the quad, so you don't really need a DVR player. The only other problem you got is the aspect ratio. This is 16:9 and the quad uses a 14:3, so you're going to get a slight stretched image on the camera, but it's not a big deal. It's easily forgotten. If you're going to get another, if you've got a diversity set of goggles already, you can change it if it supports both, but if not, you'll just get a slightly overstretched image. That's all. If you can, try and get a pair of goggles which is 14:3 and not 16:9. The other thing is, a lot of people are using the wrong antenna. This is the antenna that you want, because this is a linear antenna. The antenna that it comes with the goggles would be this one here, which is a right hand polarized omni antenna, which is not really suitable because this uses twin antennas which are both linear. So think of it as a beam. You got a narrow beam like that, and it goes out that way. That's what this does. It will do like over 300 meters, far exceeding the quadcopter range. But you got to bear in mind that you got to stay within the parameters of that beam in order to get a decent video. If you're flying behind yourself, it's not going to capture it, which is where you want a pair of goggles which has got diversity on it, so that you can use even the supplied antenna, because it will cover behind you and around you. So that's the reason why most people will use one of these patch antennas. Not a great big deal, but moving on. A lot of people are saying they're having problems with this. I haven't used this from the get-go because I've had problems with running the battery down, and it's wiped all the settings off this, so I can't use it anymore. So what I've done instead is I've bound this to my T8 SG jumper, and I've been using that. This one here has got a it's not a bad controller, but people have been saying that it's the antenna that causes the problems on it. This is not the case. The antenna on this is fine. The reason why people are having dropouts are because of the RSSI setup on Betaflight on this. One way to find out is to set the goggles up in the transmitter and plug in a battery, stand right next to it. If it's reading 99 when you're right in front of it, then it's okay. If it's reading something like 30 or 40 or anywhere like that, then you need to do the Betaflight commands in the CLI, okay, which would be something like RX scale equals 140, something like that, and it will redo it all, and you'll be all right. Only some people been having this problem. I've mounted my antennas down here because obviously the props will chop it off where it was originally on there, as has happened to me. And apart from that, you should be alright. Going back to the controller quickly, the menu is very complex on this. It doesn't, although it's got a USB port in there, it doesn't do firmware updates as yet, and you can't plug it into a computer and use it as a simulator. There's no way you can do that. Other than that, it is a good transmitter. I will get around to sorting it out one day and redoing the menu, and I'll probably be using this. Gimbals feel alright. Bit sort of free flowy, but and loose, but some people like that. Going back to the quad quickly, these are branded EACHINE, but they're actually made by Happy Model. If you go on their websites, you will see the same motors on there. You've got two lengths of wire. You've got 50mm and 60mm. Because of the orientation of the board, some wires are longer than others because they've got to reach certain plugs. If you buying a 60mm one and you want a 50mm one, because they're out of stock of the 50mm ones, it doesn't matter. You can buy them and just wrap them around the pillar post there, take up some of the slack in the wire and plug them in. It makes no difference to the motor orientation or anything like that. It'd be fine. This is the bootloader button, if you want to update the firmware and all that, and you'll find that the bind button is near enough in the middle of the board behind the camera. You have to take the stack out and the top plate and the camera out to get to it, but as this is a modular setup, it's all plug and play. There's no soldering to do, apart from a couple of wires down there, but you'll probably never have to bother with them. On the battery strap, I've bent this plug a couple of times, and be wary of that when you're tying the battery on, because if you push down on there too often, it will snap the soldering points. I've done it a couple of times. I've inadvertently bent down on it as I'm doing up the strap, so I'm, just be wary of that. That could happen. Yeah, the antennas I've moved there temporarily because of the props chopping it off. I've also clipped the VTX a couple of times. They are UFL connectors. They're easy enough to replace. Just get rid of the glue on there and just prise it off. Try not to do it too hard, otherwise you'll rip the pad off the board. But other than that, they're replaceable. You can buy a pack of 10 for, a few quid, or you can buy high dBi gains. I'll switch the LED strip on this. I don't know if you can do it on smart audio, but I switched it off on betaflight because I didn't see the point in it. If it lands upside down in a crash, you're not going to see it anyway, and you've got a buzzer on there, and not only that, it saves a bit of battery power as well. Your SD card goes in that way round, i.e. upside down. As far as I can tell, it's got good SD card, good video quality, and no jello and no latency. I noticed on some videos there's a lot of jello, but I suggest you tighten these screws up on the camera before you fly, just to make sure that the camera's nice and tight. Otherwise, it does reflect on the videos. I put a silicone mat on here because the battery can dig into the screws there and do some damage. Other than that, it flies okay. It's a good quad and everything. Just be careful, like on here, like the odd screw does come out sometimes, so make sure you go around the whole quad and tighten everything up. Make sure that it's all held down. Yeah, that's a good quad. You might want to check your end points and mid points if you're going to bind another controller to it, just to make sure everything's okay. And charge your batteries up at 3.8 volts per cell. On this one, you can do it with the while the battery's charging. When it gets to 3.8 or 380 whatever, pull the battery out, because that'll be midway charged, and that'll be classed as your storage charge. I don't use this. I use a hobby grade charger, and it automatically cuts off when it gets to the desired voltage and charge that I want. So bear that in mind. In the future you're going to want to do that. Back to the quad quickly. You can buy all the spare parts for it, the frame, the stack. You can't buy the stack complete. They sell it separately. The motors, everything, it's all replaceable. The frame's quite strong. I think it's about 3mm thick, so it should last quite well. I've had a few crashes on it, and it's been okay. I did bend a motor shaft on here, so be wary of that. They're very weak on these motors, but I managed to bend it back. Very hard to do. It's not perfect, but I don't seem to be getting oscillations, and it is doable, but very hard. So if you're a novice, best just buy another motor and either plug the motor in or just change the bell. The motors are okay, it's the bell. It's the shaft that goes through the bell that causes it. Other than that, I think that's about it really. I covered most of the things as quickly as I could. Camera's okay. Everything's settable in betaflight. If you have any dropout problems or anything like that, it'll be the RSSI setting on betaflight on this board, not the controller. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the controller. Just don't run the battery down on it. Apart from that, everything's all right on it. It's a good fast quad. Got a very quick throttle response and everything. As far as I know, it only goes up to 3S. I wouldn't suggest putting a 4S battery in it, in case it blows up. Just stick to 3S. You don't need anything more than that anyway. It's quite powerful. That's about it really. Any questions or anything? As I said, this is only a quick overview. Any questions or anything, just message me and I'll get back to you as quick as possible. Alright, well this has been my review. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.